People pay good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
High school sweethearts are overrated.
I remember you having a very lovely high school romance.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Becca's coming home for Christmas.
Can't believe it's been 3 years. You can't be around Becca because it's too hard for you.
Don't be ridiculous. She's just my childhood best friend.
They were so good together.
I am gonna be so busy with the Christmas show, building sets, designing the set, painting the set.
No, wait. Nobody likes meddling moms. Are you kidding? Everyone likes meddling moms.
She actually asked me to direct the show this year.
Mind your way up here?
Not at all. I'm happy you're here.
You are a Broadway star. I'm a small town bar owner.
I bet you she didn't even tell you about the offers from Hollywood.
We're just on different paths.
I came back here to be with you. You still love her.
I think there's some shenanigans going on.
Evergreen always does put on a great Christmas show.
You only have 1 month to convince them that they are perfect for each other.
You're just seeing all the reasons that make it hard, but what this town sees is two idiots that have been in love forever and just need to be together already.
And the whole town does not see that. They do?
Duh.
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of The Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking with producer, director, writer, entrepreneur, all kinds of stuff, Christin Baker. We spoke about some of her more recent work, including Christmas at the Ranch and her upcoming film, Mary and Gay, which will be coming out pretty soon, I would reckon. It is the holiday season. Now that Halloween is over, we're tearing ass right into Christmas and Thanksgiving. So, yeah. Also, we talked a little bit about her Scare B&B series, which will hopefully be coming out next year. Had a great time talking with Christin, and I hope you have a great time listening to the interview. I'm super excited to talk with you. I would love to know a little bit more about you and your background.
I really got the movie bug, I guess, when I was in college. I mean, I always picked up like VHS and video, recorders when I was younger, and we'd do music videos with like neighborhood kids and, just kind of goof around and stuff like that. But, and then I thought I wanted to go into like broadcasting, like TV, like news. And in college, I did an internship at a local NBC affiliate, and I realized I really hated the news. And so I didn't want to be surrounded by it like 24/7. And then I was also on a movie set, on a movie called Major Pain, that came out like years ago with Damon Wayans. And through this like bizarre set of circumstances, my aunt actually was at a military academy and they needed military kids. I was lucky enough to be able to be on set, and I fell in love with it. Like, it was just the coolest, most fun thing I ever did. And a lot of it was sitting around and waiting, but the vibe and the feeling on set was like intoxicating. And I changed my major. I changed my focus. I realized I wanted to go into the movie business. I started reading all the books I could on it because I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. So I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to get to LA. I ended up being really lucky. I got a paid internship at Regency Productions. I did work a few projects, like a few things in Nashville that was, for obvious reasons, country music focused. So I moved out to LA in my early 20s, and I worked at Regency in the story department. So I really got to understand how coverage worked and script submissions. And I thought I wanted to go the development path. And then I got in there and I was like, you know what? No, this isn't for me. This kind of environment, just like I didn't vibe with it. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be an indie filmmaker. And so while doing that and like writing scripts, I ended up working at the Writers Guild in the TV credits department. And I really got to understand, how important credits are, how credits work. One of the things I did was find people to read the scripts for the arbitration process. And then, kind of some life stuff happened and I ended up leaving the industry and moving to North Carolina and working in nonprofit. And so I spent the next 13 years working for various like YMCAs across the country, but still kind of having a little bit like I would make fundraising videos and, do small video things while there. And then when YouTube was starting to become a thing and people were starting to make their own content, I was like, I should start a streaming platform, because that's what like anyone would think to do at that time. And that's when Tello Films was born. And I really wanted to focus on, my community because I didn't feel like there was enough out there. So I was sort of niche before niche was like kind of a thing, And then, at first it was going to be like free, like it was going to be the YouTube, but for like lesbian content. And then I like didn't make any money on ads. It was like, there's no money in this advertising thing. And so I ended up right at the time when Hulu was putting up their paywall and Netflix was releasing House of Cards. We did the same. We started it being a subscription. I started making like kind of scripted original content. And then that's kind of how Tello was born.
Yeah, I'll start my own streaming service. Sure. Why not?
I think that's called naivete or ignorance or I was like, why not just, why do we look at making indie movies when I can, just, and I don't even know code. Like it's not even like I'm the one coding the platform. So, but yeah, for some reason that spoke to me. And I thought, well, when you feel that strongly, you got to kind of follow that sometimes,
So is pretty much all of the stuff that you make, does that just go right into your own service?
I've been really lucky, Mike, that I have been able to kind of tinker with distribution and figure out, because I have investors in all of my movies. And, I have two goals. And I tell people this, number one is to make a good movie, make great content. The second thing is to get my investors their money back. So I've done, the gamut of distribution where it's only been on the platform where, we went wide to VOD and on demand and, iTunes and all that stuff. I'm always open, but gosh, the market right now is horrible for indie filmmakers. I mean, absolutely horrible. So I may actually make more money putting it on my own platform than I do doing a wide distribution because they don't pay an MG, or if they do, it's like next to nothing. And then they take such a huge percentage and then they want it for like 23 years. So, it just makes sense. I can control a lot more of it. I make a bigger ROI, because like, it's almost like the money literally can work out. Like if I have 1,000 people that rent or buy, that is the equivalent of 100,000 people renting or buy it on all the various platforms. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it breaks down to. So it's really tough out there right now for indie filmmakers trying to figure out how to monetize. They're making movies for $500,000, $1 million, and maybe getting a $10,000 MG, maybe a $25,000 MG if they're lucky, and then they lose it. So, yeah, it's a tough space out there right now.
Not only are you running this platform, but then amongst your own projects, you do so many things: producing, writing, directing. How do you even decide which projects to take on?
A lot of it just depends on how expensive is the project and how much money do I have, right? I mean, sometimes it just kind of comes down to simple math. I was really passionate about doing one holiday rom-com for the lesbian and queer community a year. So, kind of my goal each year was to figure out, okay, how do I do that one? And then this past year, though, I had this idea of doing, a really inexpensive thriller movie. We shot it in 7 days with a limited cast in one location. And so, I was able to cobble together money from investors to do 2 of those this year. So I did 2, they're called Scare B&B franchise, and then the holiday rom-com. So, sometimes it just depends on, what do you have, what kind of feels like it's needed, and then how much money does it cost and how much money do you have.
Since you've been in this industry, and especially since you've started your own platform, have you noticed a shift in attitudes? Because, I mean, the changes that have happened for the queer community over the last 17 years, it feels like there's been a real back and forth as far as progress, and then kind of receded for a little while. And I don't know what it is like these days.
Yeah, that's your observation is so right on. And that it does have this bizarre ebb and flow. I mean, I think one year everyone decided to make a period piece lesbian drama. And it was like, well, how did y'all all decide to do that this year? You know what I mean? It was, Woman on Fire and Ammonite. And then Casey Affleck did one that was like a homesteaders that, and you're just like, what is up with these lesbian period dramas with straight chicks, playing all the leads? So, well, I think except for one of them. But anyway, there can also be a distinction between, I think a lot of times you look at the community and it's all people just lump LGBTQ into one section, but there really is a differentiator between bros and happiest season, right? So the good thing right now is that people will take a pitch or consider it, and it's not as subversive isn't the right word, but it's not like oh my gosh, it's a lesbian project where you have to change one of these two to being a man. That's not really said anymore. I think where we kind of are right now is it's almost like, and I'm speaking for holiday rom-coms, where there used to be no holiday rom-coms. Now it's sort of like, okay, well, Hallmark has one and Lifetime has one and Netflix has one, but they do not want to. And so it's just this really interesting, wow, you can't do that this year, and so Hallmark's coming out with theirs that has 2 male leads that was just announced. And I don't know what Lifetime has, but I'm sure they'll have one with either male or female leads. Last year they had female leads. So, I think that it's not as controversial where someone will tell you need to change the gender. But, we're still not seeing kind of, I think, enough of a consistent stream of projects coming in for the community.
Is there any resistance from the actors? Because I know it used to be, and I'm talking 1950s, it was the kiss of death to be portrayed as a gay character, and you wouldn't want to be associated with that at all. Have attitudes changed as far as that goes?
I've never run into anything that's been overt from any of my actors. I mean, we definitely try to cast, queer identifying people for queer roles. Now that doesn't always happen. We also want the best quality, so we're not going to limit ourselves. But we're pretty open about when we put a casting notice that this is an LGBTQ project. And so I think if people don't want to do that, they won't. They won't even submit.
Yeah, we talk on the show a lot about identification and just being able to see yourself represented on screen. So watching something like Christmas at the Ranch, it was just like, wow, this must be so nice for people that are gay and celebrate Christmas. Imagine that.
I know. And you know what? We get that all the time. Mm-hmm. They'll say I'm so excited that I can sit down with my family and watch something that represents me instead of having to, it's always a straight couple and they're always watching the holiday rom-com with their family. It's a straight couple, but now it's and we try and keep it wholesome, there, no curse words, nothing sort of gratuitous that you couldn't watch with, like my niece and nephew who are 6 and 8. So yeah, we really try to represent that in just a very truthful, matter of fact way. This is it. We're not going to come out. We're not going to make a big deal about it. They're already out. And they're looking for love and then falling in love.
That was one thing I really liked about Christmas at the Ranch as well, was just these characters are gay. Nobody says oh my gosh, there's no pearl clutching, when Archie Cow comes to the door and the 2 female leads are in the room. It's not like, oh my God, what were you 2 up to? So. Yeah. No, exactly. Thank you so much for kind of recognizing that, because that's exactly what we're going for. Yeah, it's just so valuable. And I'm so glad that you're doing some horror movies as well.
You know what? We're not killing anyone. And I know people are probably going to be I don't want to watch that then, because that very much is part of the horror genre. But I think you can have a thriller that's on the edge of your seat with jump scares, and it doesn't have to be like gory. It can be like, oh my gosh, what's this? So I'm kind of excited to hop into that genre as well.
Are the Scare B&Bs, are those out now?
No, not yet. We're still in post-production on those. In fact, when I'm off with you, I'm gonna look at the sound design for the first Scare B&B. So no, I think those will be coming out in 2023. We really had to focus on Mary and Gay. So even though we had 3 of them in the can, we kind of had to drop everything to make sure Mary and Gay got out this holiday season. That took our focus. So Scare was put on the back burner, and so I think it's probably, gosh, Mike, you never know, but I'm thinking it'll be possibly January of 2023 for the first one. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this year's holiday movie, Mary and Gay.
I filmed my stuff in Nashville. So it's set here in Nashville in a small town. And it has that sort of, that quintessential trope of, Broadway star who lived in a small town, comes home and wants to see if there's still anything there between with her high school sweetheart. And then the fun part of this one is that you have their 2 moms are kind of meddling and trying to help get them together. And then the whole town gets behind it and tries to get these 2 together. And so it's just this really fun, feel good, small town holiday rom-com.
How did the pandemic affect you?
Again, I was really lucky. So we shot I Hate New Year's wrapped March 14th of 2020. And the 16th is when everything shut down. So we were wiping everything down, trying to get toilet paper, the last couple of days of the shoot. But so we were really lucky that we got that one under our belt. And then in February of 2021, we filmed Christmas at the Ranch. And that was, it made things a lot more expensive. So we had to have testing. SAG was just coming out with their rules. Everyone had to have masks and shields because it was before you had the vaccine. And so we were really lucky. I have yet to have a COVID case on my set. I'm knocking on all kinds of surface areas here. I did lose a leading actress before we shot to a positive COVID test. And so I had to recast very quickly. It made it a little bit less fun and a little bit more expensive.
I have to compliment you on the level of actors that you have in your films. It was so nice just to see, Lindsay Wagner showing up, Amanda Rigetti, just so many familiar faces and just knocking it out of the park.
They were unbelievable to work with. It was so fun to work with them, to direct them. Lindsay Wagner is such an icon and just one of the loveliest people. And Amanda and Archie are both also just fantastically wonderful folks. And I was really lucky. I was very, very lucky. So thank you.
How many projects do you work on at a time?
1.5. I'm trying to write the 3rd Scare. And I say trying because I'm just failing horribly at it. So for those out there, but I'm doing post on Scare B&B on the first one. Someone's starting to crack open the second one, so I'll see a rough cut of that soon. And then, we're gearing up. I was just on with my publicist the other day about releasing Mary and Gay and looking at, the press releases. So yeah, 1.5, 1.6, because you try to really have one that you're focused on, and then little pieces kind of are, whack-a-moling up at the same time. So.
And then are you involved in the day-to-day of the streaming service as well?
I'm actually starting to move away from the day-to-day of the streaming service. So another one of the owners is starting to take the operations of that. So that's kind of been helpful in moving back from it. And so it's sort of they're kind of taking that over and handling those things. And because it's been, 12 years that I've been the operations person for the company and kind of running it. I do have great people who work for me who do acquisitions and kind of help with, marketing and images and things like that. But yeah, so I am pulling back from that and no longer doing operations pieces for it.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Mary and Gay? Because it sounds like it's going to be delightful.
I have Dia Frampton as the lead, and she was in one of my projects, I Hate New Year's, and she had a small role in Christmas at the Ranch, and I just absolutely love working with Dia. Dia's co-star is an actor named Andy Renee Christensen, and Andy is non-binary, and so we made the character of Sam non-binary. But again, we don't talk about it. No one sort of comes out as non-binary. We just use they, them pronouns and refer, as a child or a sibling. We try and use like gender neutral terms, but again, there's no coming out. There's not a thing around it. And we have Stella Parton, who's Dolly Parton's younger sister, who plays Mrs. Wilkinson, who's just phenomenal in it. And, when we open up in New York, and I ended up I have an amazing composer. And for some reason, when I was in the middle of writing the project, I thought, what would be a goofy Broadway musical that would be a Broadway musical, but then it's not. And I thought, Friends the musical. So I was like, okay, she's in Friends the musical, so I but of course, can't really use that term. So I think I called it I'll Be There For You. So I said, we need to open up with a really goofy, ridiculous Broadway number from Friends the musical. So I called my composer, Everett Young, who's phenomenal. And I said, Everett, I need a song that is about how much the people love coffee. And he goes, got it. And he collaborated with another friend of his, and they wrote a song called Coffee Is Our Friend. So we open up with this Broadway number called Coffee Is Our Friend. That's just fantastic. And it's, So, it's like those kinds of things. It was really so much fun to kind of play around with that, and to play around with high school sweethearts, and Andy and Dia were fantastic. They had amazing chemistry, and the two moms you just feel that sense of family that I think you saw it in Christmas at the Ranch as well. And I think that carries into Mary and Gay, but now we have two families that love their queer children. And I think that's like really cool as well.
Yeah, that's huge. Because I know the holidays are so difficult for so many queer people who have just been disowned by their families or have difficulty with certain members.
Yeah, I have this amazing gaffer. His name's Benny, and we were in the middle of working on it. And he's worked on like 4 or 5 of my projects, two or three. And he goes, Christin, I just love working on your projects because it's just the families just so feel good. And I said, thanks, Benny. And that meant a lot. That like he even on set, he kind of got that feeling and that vibe. And yeah, and we just had these super meet cute moments between these two, and it just follows those. It's just tropey goodness, Mike. Just great holiday rom-com tropey goodness, with some, I think, great chemistry.
Well, Christin, where's the best place for people to keep up with you?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I have my Twitter handle is the same as my Instagram handle. It's my first name, Christin, which is Christin, and then Tello. Which is not my actual last name, but it just made sense at the time. So Christin Tello is my Instagram and Twitter handle. And then my production company is called A Baker Production. And that's where you can find me on Facebook. So depending on which one you love more. And I'll put family stuff up. I'll put stuff about my movies up. And that's how folks can keep up with me and see what's going on.
Well, Christin, thank you so much for your time. It was so nice talking with you.
Mike, it has been an absolute pleasure, and I just appreciate your questions and also your observations on my projects, because it's exactly what I'm going for. And so the fact that you got that and sensed it just means the world. So thank you for having me.
Over and told me about Fred. He's such a hairy behemoth, she said. Dumb as a box of hammers, but he's such a handsome guy. And I opened up and I told her about Larry, and yesterday how he asked me to marry. And I'm not giving him an answer yet. I think I can do better. So we laughed, compared notes. We had a drink, we had a smoke. She took off her overcoat. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. called home to say she'd be late. He said he worried, but now he feels safe. I'm glad you're with your girlfriend. Tell her hi for me. And then I looked at you, you had guilt in your eyes, but it only lasted a little while. And then I felt your hand above my knee. And we laughed at the world. They can have their diamonds and we'll have our pearls. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl.